Would you like to become a fascinating personality, break free from plateaus, and gain power over your mental resources and your full potential? You came to the right place. Welcome to a magical journey to yourself. This show is made in Germany. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or puremindmagic.club. Welcome to Season 1, Shaping Your Reality. And here is your host, international magician, speaker, and book author, Victoria Mavis.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Pure Mind Magic and this magical number podcast number 33 with my special guest, 7-figure entrepreneur, coach, book author, international speaker, millionaire mindset expert who has spoken at Mind Valley, Regan Hillyer. She is really amazing and also wrote the book Be Your Brand, From Unknown to Unforgettable in 60 Days, which has amazing reviews on Amazon. I found her through YouTube. She has there also a lot of very interesting videos and she does a lot of masterminds around the world. She's also working around the world and she is really a specialist when it comes to mindset. And I think this fits perfectly with the last interview on Friday that was also about mindset and mind power. And here we have on the show another millionaire. And before we dive right into this interesting and inspirational interview for you, just a quick note. You can check out my new book, How Podcasting Can Change Your Life, that is now also available as a print version. The link is in the show notes below this episode, as well as all the contact information about Regan. And now prepare to get some really interesting information that has the power to push you to the next level. Lean back and enjoy this fantastic interview with Regan Hillyer. Hi Regan, what are you doing today?
Hi Victoria, I've had a great day. I'm actually in Thailand at the moment.
Wow, you're really traveling the world. So when I'm right, your basis is in New Zealand at the moment?
Yeah, I'm from New Zealand, but I don't really have a base. I literally travel the world full time and my team is scattered all over the world as well. So completely location free.
That is so amazing. But when I'm right, your origin is in New Zealand and maybe you can share a little bit of your personal story with us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand, and was born into a really beautiful family who believed in following the system and going to school and working really hard and getting good grades and going down that path. And so that's the path I started to go down. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I started out doing a university degree, and I was studying to be an architect of all things. And there was actually a university lecturer who guided us through a visualization exercise. And I'd never done anything like this before. I'd never done any mindset or visualization. And he got us to picture our lives as an architect 20 years out from now. And I closed my eyes and I visualized and I saw the life that I was creating. And I just knew that it wasn't for me. So it was at that moment that I actually decided that I was going to find out, why am I here on this planet and how do I actually create my ideal life? And so, yeah, that was really the turning point for me that shifted everything.
Wow, never heard something like that before. So you had kind of a click moment there?
Exactly. Yeah. It was kind of a moment where my mind disconnected from my body and my body just got up out of the room and I ran out and I actually called my dad and I told him, you know what, I'm I'm not going to be an architect. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something else. And to my surprise, he said he would support me and he wanted me to be happy. But he asked me, he said, Regan, what are you going to do with your life? And I had absolutely no idea at the time.
Wow. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And you know, Regan, what's so amazing is that you are really now kind of the architect of your own life, and you're helping other people to build their life, because I think it's true that everything starts from thought. So you create it in your mind and then it becomes visible in the outside world. And with architects, it's easy to see that because they have a house in their mind, for example, and then later you see the house in the real world. And I think it's kind of what you're working now on another level.
Exactly. Yeah, I really consider myself an architect of the mind and an architect of people's energetic fields, an architect of their reality ultimately. And together with clients, we literally co-create to build their ideal reality in whatever way that looks like for them.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned this situation you were in, and I think it was really dark or confusing. You were overwhelmed with all your feelings. You had no idea where you wanted to go. And I think really a lot of people deal with these issues because there are so many possibilities out there. And when you don't know who you are, it's really hard to tell which direction you go. So do you have any tips what to do when you are in such a situation?
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because when I went down this path of really trying to figure out who was I and you know, what did I get to do with the rest of my life, basically, I started looking at all these strategic answers. So I started doing all these courses and, you know, studying all these different things around how do you start a business and how do you invest in property and how do you trade currency and, you know, all of these like how-to kind of strategies. And, you know, I was investing all this money and learning all of this, but my life wasn't changing. Like I wasn't seeing results. And I remember saying to one of my coaches at the time, I remember saying to him, look, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should just be in a job. Maybe I'm not meant to be successful. You know, none of this is really working. And he said to me, he's like, Regan, you've got it all backwards. He said, you don't understand the 80-20 principle. And he said to me, look, success is 80% what happens on the inside with your mindset, and then 20% what you actually do strategically on the outside. And he said, how much are you focusing on the 80%? How much are you conditioning yourself to succeed? And I mean, I really wasn't doing anything. I was fully focused on the 20%. And so the moment I started diving deeper into how do I shift my mindset? How do I condition myself to succeed? How do I be the highest vibration version of me? The minute I started looking at all the answers to those questions, that's when everything started shifting. So long story short, it's an inside game.
I like that wording. So Regan, we could say whatever we do, everything comes down to starting at the inside in our mind, correct?
Correct.
Very nice.
Definitely.
So you had this huge turning point in your life, and on your website, I just read that you started your journey like by Googling escaping 9 to 5 and how to fix your life. So how did you make this transition from being in this position? And I also read that you were in debt at that time and slept on the couch from friends and couldn't pay the rent. And from that place, with all your forces, all your energy, and with this big mindset shift, you build yourself into a successful 7-figure business entrepreneur. So how did that happen? It's like magic for me.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. And yeah, look, when I was in that place and I was investing in myself so heavily and, you know, nothing was shifting, it really was the big moment where I figured out, oh, okay, like I actually need to focus on me. I need to focus on aligning myself to succeed. And so that threw me down a path of NLP and hypnosis and energy work and so many things like that. And I started seeing my results shift. I started seeing small things shift in my life. And people around me started noticing, and they started saying, hey, Regan, you know, I've noticed that you've started this business and you look happier and you've lost weight. Like, what are you doing? And so I started just telling people, I started telling my friends, literally, like, start doing this and stop doing this and start doing these things, right? And to my surprise, they started coming back to me a few months later, and people started saying, Regan, thank you so much for sharing that. You know what? I've completely changed because of just that. Thank you so much for telling me to stop doing this and start doing that. I've created massive results from this. And it was interesting because that was the first moment in time for me that I actually felt a sense of purpose. And I thought, wow, it feels so good to actually help someone create a different result in their life. And so that's when I started working with people one-on-one. And I literally was doing one-on-one coaching sessions for people, just sharing the tools that I was investing in myself with and learning and applying in my life, and started getting them results. And so I very quickly built myself a job, basically, where I was on the phone all day, every day. And I was tired and burnt out, but I loved it and it felt so good. And I thought to myself, you know what, how do we create more leverage? And so that led me down into a place of expanding and actually speaking to groups. And I figured out, well, I can talk to 50 people over 50 hours, or I can speak for 1 hour to 50 people in a room. Let me look at doing that instead. So I did that for a couple of years and built that into a fairly successful business. And again, hit a cap with that in terms of that business model. And then that's what shifted me online, where I realized, hang on, I can actually be anywhere in the world. As long as I have my laptop and my computer, and as long as I know what to say, then I can actually create a massive impact this way. And so that's when I launched my online business, which is the Regan Hillyer International brand that you see today.
Wow. Wow. That is really so amazing. And you know, what I love about you is that everything is authentic, because you started really from scratch, from the ground, and built it all yourself, because there are so many coaches out there and not all of them are really authentic and went through all of it themselves. So they know how people are suffering with that. So can you take us a little bit more through how you can help people? And when some of the listeners are interested in working with you, what kind of options do they have?
Definitely. So there's really two tracks that I help people with. You know, one is exactly what we're talking about around the inner game and the energetics, and how do you align yourself to be the most successful version of you from the inside out. And then I do also help people with the 20%, because you do still need the strategy. You do still need to know, okay, cool, like I'm the most successful version of me, but how do I build this online business now, right?
Yes.
You need both sides. Yeah, you need both pieces. And so in terms of the strategic side of things, you know, I have a school called the Be Your Brand Academy, which is a live 3-day event which we run all throughout the world, and we have an online course for that as well. And that really teaches artists and creators and leaders and people with a powerful message how to take that out into the world and how to monetize that and ultimately make millions of dollars and impact millions of people. And then I have lots of different options for the internal game, for people that are wanting to recondition their mindset, that are wanting to up-level their vibration and pull in the highest version of themselves. And there's a big spectrum of options that people can play with us in that way. You know, our lowest end product online around mindset is $7, and it goes right through to $1 million a year coaching package and everything in between. So there's lots of different options there.
Wow, amazing. I never heard such a range before, but sounds really there's a possibility for everyone there to make some magic happen in their own life. And Regan, when I went through your history, and you mentioned it before, so you started with NLP and hypnosis. I think those are quite known, but I also saw that you became kind of addicted to matrix energetics. Can you explain us what that means?
Yeah, definitely. So the study of matrix energetics, it's interesting because when they actually explain what it is at the course, they say that they're not going to explain it. And here's why: because the minute they put a definition on it, it limits its possibilities. So I always remember the beginning of that course and laugh and go, well, then how do we explain it? So basically what it is it's working on people's energetic field, which is the energetic field that they have around their body and their system. And it's basically working with different patterns of information. You know, everything is just patterning. So if we have a fear, it's just pattern. If we have a desire that we want to pull into our reality. That's just patterning too. So it's really about collapsing out old patterns that don't serve you, and then also allowing new patterns and frequencies to come through. And the thing I love about matrix energetics is it's not about you being a guru and knowing all the stuff about the field. It's actually about opening the field with intention through the field of your heart, and then letting the field do the work around you. So it's fascinating work.
Very interesting, I think. So that really goes into the mindset work. And Regan, do you have for the listeners maybe some practical tools they can apply in the all everyday life? Like what can you do when you really want to change your mindset, like breaking free from bad habits, or just, as you said, become a better version of yourself?
Definitely. And so there's many different tools. Firstly, one of the tools that I really love is journaling. And I think it's such a simple and easy and powerful way for people to really start getting into this internal work. And you might say, well, I don't know how to journal, or I'm not a writer, but it really is as easy as putting the pen to the paper and just allowing everything to come through. And so some of the things that I love to do around journaling and conditioning your mindset is I love to firstly look at your vision in your life. So many people never get what they desire in their life because they never get clear on what they actually want, right? Mm-hmm. And so I love getting people to journal and simply answer the question, if I was to call in my big picture vision in total alignment, what would be going on? And this is where you give yourself permission to dream again, and you start writing down, well, you know what, I would have this, and I would be living this way, and my business would look like this, and I'm so happy and grateful that I've called in this in my life. And we start literally getting these sentences or even just keywords or bullet points down on the page in detail to start making this vision a reality. And so after you've done that, the next thing that is great to do is we start looking at, okay, what is blocking me or stopping me from having this vision right now? And ultimately, if there's something that you dream of or something that you're looking to manifest or call in, if it's not in your physical reality right now, there's just limitations internally blocking it or stopping it. So these are fears and self-doubt and anything like that, self-sabotage, which is under the surface. And so you simply purge them out in this next phase where you literally say, okay, well, I'm scared of being seen, and I'm scared of what my friends are going to think of me, and I'm worried my partner's not going to get it. And you just write down all the concerns that are under the surface. And from this place, we're now aware of them. So they've gone from being unconscious to conscious. And from this place, we can look at them and go, okay, well, I no longer choose to tolerate that anymore. And I'm going to be aware of that if that creeps in to stop me. And then the third and final piece that I love in this process is really looking at what is the highest version of you we can call forth to really embody this vision, because we don't get in life what we do, but we get who we are. And so the question around this is, how does the highest version of me show up in order to embody this vision? And this is where you start looking at, how does this version of you walk? How does this version of you talk? How do they think? How do they act? How do they dress? Who do they surround themselves with? What do they no longer tolerate in their life? What do they say yes to, and what do they say no to? What kind of foods do they put in their body, right? So you just get really detailed around what does this version of you look like? And then from that place, we obviously commit to acting and being that higher self version of ourselves from that moment forward.
That makes so much sense, especially with the journaling, I think, because it's really hard to deal with something that is not conscious. And this is, I think, really a tool that you can unlock all these patterns and know where to work. And I think that it's really fantastic to work with you because you have all this knowledge around then coming in with the matrix energetics. And wow, I'm really impressed. So can you take us through a powerful person like you? How do you start into your day?
It's a great question. The first thing that I do when I wake up is I literally take my own pulse. I check in with myself and I connect with my soul. And I literally ask myself, how am I today? Like, so many people get up and immediately they're thinking about what they have to do or what time is it, or they've got this thing. Instead, I'm just with me, and it doesn't matter if my partner's still in bed. I'm with me and I'm literally connecting to my soul. How do I feel right now? What's in my body? How's my emotions? Did I sleep well? Like I'm just checking in. I'm taking my own pulse. And then from that place, I ask myself, what do I really desire right now? What do I get to do for myself right now? And that flows into my morning ritual, and that's going to look different every day. Sometimes it's like, you know what, I really get to journal. That would really help me shift this weird feeling I've woken up with. Or I get to go for a walk down the beach, or I get to go and like exercise and listen to really like loud music, or I get to be really still. I get to meditate for an hour and be really still. And so it's going to look different each and every single day. But the whole point to this ritual and this practice is I'm giving my soul what it needs instead of getting stuck in some routine that someone told you should do these 10 things in the morning every single day.
That makes so much sense what you're saying, because I think, everyone is unique and it's really hard to put one strategy over everything there. And I never heard something like that, what you're doing there. So I think it's great, and it's really connecting with yourself and connecting with your intuition and going out of the analytical mind before you start the day. So what do you think about meditation? Do you meditate, and when, how do you do it?
Definitely. I love meditation. I love to meditate with my eyes open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I used to be very anti-meditation. I used to say, I can't meditate because I thought that meditation was clearing my mind. And I would try and do that, and I would get so frustrated because I couldn't get all the thoughts out of my head. And then I realized it wasn't that at all. And instead, it's a deep state of being connected to source or to God or the universe. It's a deep state of being deeply centered. It's a deep state of being connected to yourself and your soul. And as long as you're in that state, then it doesn't really matter what thoughts are coming and going. It's just like you're observing them, because that's just your mind. And your mind is just coming and going, but we're not attached to them. We're not associating to these thoughts. So there are some days where I will sit in meditation for 10 minutes to an hour, so longer, intentionally to connect to that vibration and that stillness. And other days, I'm really not doing that in a concentrated period, but I am committed to meditating with my eyes open and not being caught in reaction throughout my day, but instead always acting from my soul and always acting from this centered place. To me, that's the real meditation. Someone can meditate for an hour and then go crazy for the other 23 hours in the day, right? I would much prefer to not do the hour, but be in full meditation for the rest of the day.
I like that approach. It's really like you are in the flow with the things and how you do it, and you take it as it comes. So that's really fantastic. So Regan, what would you say from your own experience? Because I know you went through that. Why is it so important to really take money and invest in yourself with getting the right coach, getting the right mentor to really move forward? Because I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't afford that, or it's too expensive and whatever. But why is this really crucial to move on and to build a bigger life, a better reality?
Yeah, look, I really believe it's everything. There's two ways in life you can go, and one way you can figure things or try and figure things out yourself, and you can struggle through it and get somewhere slowly. Or there's an accelerated path available. And for me, I've just continuously chosen the accelerated path and continue to do so. Right now I'm working with 4 different people. I continue to invest, and I'm not investing with those people now because I've generated the money, right? I was investing with people before I generated the money. Like, the investment must come first. The commitment must come first. Finding the coach or the mentor must come first. And then everything flows into your life. So for me, I think it's kind of madness for anyone who's not going to do that. Because if there's someone there that has the structure or the mindsets or the codes available to you that can literally accelerate your journey and take something which might take you 10 years to actually get to or figure out, it can help you do that in a couple of months or, around that time period, then why would you not take that option? So for me, it's just a non-negotiable.
Wow, that's a very good answer and makes it pretty clear why it is so important to find your own coach. So what is your take on how environment does influence us?
I think we're heavily influenced by environment, and it can go either way. If you're in environments that are low vibrational or maybe even negative, then then it's challenging to move forward with your own growth, and I would be doing whatever I could be doing in order to exit those environments, or, shift your environment, or not be as attached to it in any way possible. I literally moved country from New Zealand to Australia in order to shift and get into a new environment. And it's not that I was in a crazy negative environment. It was just an environment that didn't see my greatness. It was an environment that didn't honor my growth. It was an environment that didn't nurture my light. And so for me, I knew that I was only going to get so far around those people. And I had to, if I wanted to move quickly, go and put myself in the middle of an environment where people were living into a higher vibration. And so I really believe, we become the people we hang around almost by osmosis. And it's not just in physical. It's important to note that who are you hanging around on Facebook? Who are you hanging around online? Who are you consuming on YouTube or on the television? Like, we become everything that we put into our system. So for me, I'm super intentional about it. I'm very clear about where my time and my energy goes, and who I'm around. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So this is really food for thought. And it's like you should have a gatekeeper in your mind and be very aware what goes in, because I always say input equals output, right? So we know that from food, but as you said, it's the same with everything we take in and we surround ourselves. So you mentioned before that there is this bright variety of coaching options you do have. And you also said that there is the possibility to book a coaching package with you for $1 million. So that sounds magical. Can you tell us, what does that include, or what can someone expect who invests $1 million in coaching? That sounds really like a big magic shift happening.
Yeah, it definitely is magic. And so my $1 million clients, it's a year-long deep dive relationship. And it's a relationship where their business, their life, their results really become mine for that year. And so I feel into them, and I breathe life and energy and intention into them as if it was my business, basically. And so when you consider the depth of that and what that looks like, if a multimillionaire who has multiple businesses and is serious about elevating all to the next level takes on yours as one of them, that's basically the energy behind it. And so then how we make this happen is basically you get full on access to all of my live events, all of my retreats, all of my immersions, all of my online products, basically anything I'm doing that you want, you have access to. And we extend this out as well. If your partner requires coming to something, then call. Or maybe it's some of your team members need to go and do some of the strategy stuff or the coaching certification, whatever you need in order to elevate your environment. We make it possible in this place. And then obviously we're jumping on phone calls. We're doing really deep one-on-one days together where we're going in and actually working on your field and recoding it and shifting it and upgrading you in the fastest way possible. And then in between all of that, we're chatting on WhatsApp throughout the day. And so we have daily back and forth with messages and voicemails. And yeah, it's generally every day or every 2 or 3 days I hear from my $1 million clients, and they're just asking little things. And then I can get back right away and they can be like, oh, thank you, Regan, got it. And they can shift. So they're not waiting for the next one-on-one day. They're not waiting for the next call. There's a lot of really fast change which happens in the moment. And the last thing about this is that I give them all access to anything that I'm doing to further my growth. So if I start working with an amazing healer, for example, that's really transforming me in some way, I immediately get them a session as well and say, hey, like, you've got to experience this person. They're the best ever. Or I've just found this system in my business. Make sure you apply it in yours. So they really get full access to any of the upgrades which I'm going through over that 12 months as well.
Wow, that sounds really like a unique program. Really never heard something like that before. So, but for the other peoples that are not multimillionaires yet, so everything is possible, right? But it's to start somewhere else, you mentioned the masterminds, and I think they are becoming more and more popular. And I remember reading about that in the book from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich First. But now there are several different masterminds all around the world. But what would you say, Regan, why is it so important, and what happens in a mastermind, especially one of yours?
Yeah, definitely. People in my mastermind, they love it. I mean, more than even the teachings or anything like that, it's the environment. So with how we talked about environment before and really learning from osmosis, it's really, really powerful in terms of what they are receiving directly from me, but also from all of the amazing people that are in the mastermind and upgrading their life and their business and themselves and doing the work and sharing. It's everything. It's like the fastest way, I believe, actually, to grow is to catapult yourself into an environment of amazing, successful people.
Wonderful said. So we have that, and I saw you do it in Bali. Why did you pick Bali for that?
We've actually changed that. We haven't been in Bali for a while with that now, but it used to be in Bali. You're right. And originally it was in Bali because I was based very much in Bali a lot of the time. And so now we're actually running the Be Your Brand events all over the world now. So we're running them in London, we're running them in LA, in Australia, New Zealand, all beautiful places. And Bali may be back on the cards for 2019. We're just figuring out the calendar right now.
Sounds fantastic. So a lot of possibilities coming up there. And to go now to a really, first entry level, let's say, to connect with your fantastic energy, you did write a book that is out now. It's called From Unknown to Unforgettable in 60 days. But even better, you told me before we started the interview that there are 2 books in line that are coming up. So can you tell us about them?
Definitely. So there's 2 books coming out. One is written solely by me, and it's called How to Change Your Life in 3 Minutes. And so the whole premise of it is basically, how can you just do 3 minutes of internal work each and every single day and massively shift your life? So this is for the person that says, you know what, I don't have 5 days to go to a Tony Robbins seminar. I'm busy. I've got 3 kids and 2 jobs, and, I've got all this stuff going on. And I said, it's okay. Just give me 3 minutes of your day. Right. And so this book is kind of like a playbook where you can go through and quickly do all of this rewiring mindset work, basically. And then the other book is really interesting, and it's actually co-written with myself and my partner. And so he is an amazing coach and entrepreneur and healer. And basically, this book we're writing is called The Abundance Codes. And this book is 52 codes through 9 different categories of life, where basically when you do the internal work to activate each of these codes, it means that once they're all activated, you're living in full abundance in every area. So full abundance in money, but full abundance in your purpose, and full abundance in spirituality and in your health and everything across the board. So we're really excited about both of those coming out.
Wow, the second one sounds so cool because, me as a magician, I love to play with cards, and I think that brings in this playfulness, because for me, I always watch people are being too much in the mind, like this analytical thing, especially we Germans are known for that. And there is not this playfulness, this intuition, like listening to yourself, to your heart and all that.
Definitely. And it's funny, we're actually producing a deck of cards that go with the book, with the abundance codes. And so basically you can pull one of the cards each day and then say, okay, cool, this is the code that I get to activate. And they have these powerful visual codes with new sacred geometry, which activate through actually looking at them through your eyes. And then each of the code also has a rewire for your mind, but it also has a physical activation and all these elements. So you're activating from every single angle within your field.
Wow, that sounds like a holistic approach to the whole thing. And you mentioned before the word alignment. And I think this is really important to get everything aligned. Maybe you can take us through that a little bit, how to start to get your mind, your body, your feelings, everything in this alignment to connect to your higher self.
Yeah, definitely. And so when we say alignment, people often ask me, well, how do you get an alignment? And the first question I ask them back is, well, what are you aligning to? So if you don't know what you're aligning to, then we can never be in alignment, right? So we're always looking at, firstly, what is the result? Like, what is the result? What is the vision? What is the intention? And then from there, we're simply looking at, okay, cool. Like, what is the aligned bit of action that I get to take to bring me closer to that? And it might be a mindset practice, or it might be something that you get to clear out of your physical body as an activator. It might be something that you do in your business. So there's all different ways to get in alignment. But the question really is, okay, what is going to bring me closer into alignment so that I'm moving in alignment towards that vision or that goal or that outcome?
That makes so much sense. I liked it. So we got alignment covered and also the mindset, the inner work. So let's take a look at the end now at the outer world. So Regan, what would you say? As I mentioned before, I mean, today there are so many possibilities also online, but because of you shifting your business to online, if someone has the dream to start online, to do something, to someone who has a message, what would be the best way to enter the online world from your perspective?
Definitely. So the first thing that they need to do is they need to get really clear on developing their authentic message and developing their brand. So getting really clear on what does this actually look like? What are they born to share with the world? What is inside of them? What is their magic? What do they get to share? And then from this place, once they're clear on that and clear on the brand that they get to develop around it, the next step is to launch it all. So it's not enough just to have the most inspiring message in the world, right? If you're not actually getting it out to the world, you have to launch it. And this is why so many people are so talented and so inspiring, but they're not making the money they deserve because they don't understand the launch processes. And so, yeah, launching is actually getting it out to your soulmate tribe and making sure that you have offers and solutions for them that are in alignment with your message so that you get to serve your community and get paid for doing what you love each and every single day. So we develop, then we launch, and then the last piece is to accelerate. And this is the piece that comes into play when you have launched and you're making money and it feels really good. The acceleration piece is, okay, how do we now scale this? How do we accelerate it? How do we go bigger with this? How do we make sure that you can grow your brand and develop your message and develop your products and services to scale them to the point that you desire and beyond, right? But without requiring stacks more of your time, right? And so everything you're setting up in your brand and online should be very much geared towards creating greater levels of freedom, not taking away from your freedom, because ultimately you're going to end up hating the whole thing if you do it the other way around. And so I say, even if you're just in the development phase of figuring out, what is my message that I'm born to share with the world, start with the end in mind and look at those three pieces so that you don't launch something that isn't scalable in the long run.
I got it. So to come full circle, that means really you need the mindset work and you need the strategies to make the magic happen, correct?
Definitely. Look, the people that just get the strategy can only get so far because their mindset caps them out. And then the people that know how to do all the internal work, but then don't understand the strategic pieces, don't tend to get results either. So it is this beautiful fusion of, again, doing 80% the inner alignment and creating from your soul and tapping from within, right? And then 20% aligned action that has the strategy to support all of that.
Amazing how clear you are and how clear your answers are. So fantastic. I think you inspired a lot of the listeners. And maybe to end the interview now, do you have any book recommendation for us?
Well, my 2 new books are going to be great.
Of course. Yeah, thought so. Right answer.
Yeah, one of my big recommendations, which is an appropriate fit for this conversation, is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. That's one of the books that really, really opened me in terms of my mindset, and specifically my mindset around money. And so even if you've read this book, go back and read it again. I swear, every time I read this book, I'm like, that bit wasn't in there before. Every time I read it, there's like something new that I pick up, and it's such an amazing read.
That sounds good. All right, Regan. Then thank you so much for being on the interview today on the Pure Mind Magic podcast and giving all your advice and your wisdom for the listeners. And the last question now, of course, I will put all your information in the show notes, but what is the best way to connect with you?
Definitely. Yeah, you can go to reganhillyer.com, or anyone listening, of course, can go to social media. I'm really active, especially on Facebook and Instagram, and there's a lot of content which goes out on all those platforms, on YouTube as well. So definitely connect up on all of them, and feel free to reach out, send me a message, let me know where you're at, and let me know you came from the show as well.
All right. Then, thanks again. And I would love to stay in touch, and hopefully we meet in person one day.
Definitely, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, did you shift your mindset while hearing this interview with Regan and hearing her story and how you can change your mindset with all these cool tricks? Well, I certainly did. As promised, in the show notes and the text directly below this episode, you will find all the links to Regan as well as to her book, and also to my book, How Podcasting Can Change Your Life. I would really appreciate, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. It is just one click for you, but really helps to grow the show and support Pure Mind Magic. You can do that on your podcast app. Just subscribe, and with that you won't miss any of the new episodes. And I promise it will be a special week because it's the week of my birthday. So tomorrow there is another interview, and I stay now with the millionaires. This is number 3 in this row. So tomorrow as a guest I have another millionaire from the United States. His name is Tom Swab, and he runs an interview agency that helps people to get booked on podcast interviews to create some magic. He's really a specialist in this area because he himself has done more than 1,200 interviews, and he's also an author, and I promise you will learn a lot, not only about being on podcasts, giving interviews there, but also in other fields. And there's a kind of a special thing around that, because this very interview with Tom was recorded in a very special location. I won't tell it yet, so you will listen to it tomorrow, but actually it inspired Tom so much that he went out the next day and created a video around this topic, because the location I was in recording in the middle of the night inspired him so much. So you see, you never know what is gonna happen next when you take action and set courses. There will be effects for every course you set, and hopefully magic effects, of course. So until tomorrow, enjoy your day or your night. Talk to you tomorrow. Until then, create some magic.